Welcome, everybody, to the very first episode of my new series, Perfecting My Bakery's Menu. That is, my imaginary bakery, because I don't have one yet. Chocolate Bun Edition. There will be a few staples in my hopefully fingers crossed future bakery, and one of them will be a rich, decadent, soft, fluffy, and delicious chocolate-filled bun. I began this journey by being influenced, as always, by TikTok and their current obsession for Swedish cardamom buns. More specifically, I was attracted to the shaping technique. I think cardamom buns look absolutely scrumptious and kind of fancy. I don't know what it is about them, but they're just like eye candy. Like, I can't stop looking at them. And now for the dough. Throughout this video, I'm doing different iterations of the same recipe, so I would leave the final recipe down below for you guys. To me, this bread kind of feels like an eggless brioche. Crazy, I know, but the taste of it and the softness of it, I feel like almost competes with the classic brioche, while, dare I say, being significantly easier. There, I said it. You can come for me if you must. I deserve it, but there's just something about this recipe that I can't get enough of. It is so incredibly fluffy, and it just tastes so good. I can't get enough, man. I can't get enough. So I figured that the best type of filling for this type of shaping technique would be something spreadable. And in terms of chocolate, that made me think of ganache. Just a classic chocolate, heavy cream and butter ganache with a little bit of instant coffee to try and boost that chocolatiness a little bit. The very first problem that I had with the Swedish bun technique was I had never done it before, which in itself is a little bit of an obstacle. But also, my bench, it looked like a crime scene. It looked awful. There was chocolate everywhere, all over my hands. And I know that like baking is like my thing, you know, like I bake. That's like what I do, right? But God, I cannot stand getting stuff under my nails and my hands dirty. Like there's a limit. There's a limit to how much I can handle. And this was pushing it for me. Also, it was difficult. Not only that, but I didn't even get it on frame. Do you see this? I didn't get almost a single one of these buns of me performing the magic of shaping them. I did not get it on frame. In hindsight, maybe ganache wasn't the best idea. In hindsight, maybe a chocolate-filled Swedish-styled bun wasn't a great idea. But this is why we're recording this video. This is why we're doing this. We live, we learn, we make mistakes, and we adjust. I must admit that after all the trauma that these buns put me through, they did end up looking quite cute. I kind of liked them. I egg washed them and then sprinkled some dark brown sugar on top, which I did really like. It added like a nice sweetness while still having like some depth of flavor on it. Fun fact, you would never know by watching the video, so I don't know why I'm telling you this, but this bun that I'm ripping to shreds right here is actually multiple days old, and it was the last one of the batch. All of the other ones got eaten, and this is the only one I had left, but my God, it still looks incredible, doesn't it? For our second attempt, I knew that I wanted to go back to square one with both the filling and the shaping technique. The ganache, although tasty, didn't have that punch of chocolatiness that I was going for, and the Swedish bun shaping technique was just not for me. So instead, I decided to mimic the iconic Japanese salted butter roll. And instead of ganache, I decided to go for just plain chocolate for the filling. Gonna appreciate them into little balls, let them do a quick 10 to 15 minute bench rest, and then roll them into a carrot shape. Yeah, a carrot shape. And then roll them out into very long triangles, just like you would with croissants. I did accidentally make a double batch of the buns, so I took the opportunity to do some light testing by popping the rest of the pre-shaped buns into the fridge. All I did was place them on an oiled piece of parchment paper, lightly spray them with water just to prevent any skin from forming, set a second piece of parchment paper on top, then wrapped it nicely in plastic to prevent them from drying out or absorbing any of that like fridge smell. Then I popped them in the freezer for about an hour and then moved them to the fridge for, I kid you not, like 2 days. I kind of forgot about them, but since I froze them before putting them in the fridge, it turned out perfectly fine. This time I decided to sprinkle them with some Swedish pearl sugar. That way they would be a little bit less sticky than if I were to use dark brown sugar. Because these, for some reason, don't melt. I don't know. I don't know why. I don't know how. I don't know the science behind pearl sugar, but I really like them. So I'll be leaving a link to where I got them from down below. I really enjoyed making these buns. I loved the way that they look. I loved shaping them. It was fun. It was easy. I like that they kind of look like the bread version of croissants. I don't know. There's just something about them. They're so cute. And as you can see, they baked absolutely beautifully. Look at them. They're so perfectly golden. They're so gorgeous. This second batch of chocolate buns was very, very, very close to perfection. They were absolutely delicious. They had that extreme chocolatiness, obviously, because it's just chocolate on the inside. There's nothing else, right? But I wasn't fully convinced because obviously chocolate solidifies. Therefore, if these buns are not reheated, the chocolate's just solid in the middle, which is perfectly fine. So, as Alex just said, my third attempt will be a chocolate custard. For this, I used my basic custard cream recipe and added a ton of chocolate to it. So, we're gonna get started by warming up 240 grams of whole milk. You want to make sure that you don't burn the milk or boil it or anything like that. All you're doing is warming it up slightly, so when you pour it into the eggs, you temper them. Next, we're gonna get 2 egg yolks and 100 grams of white sugar. And we're gonna whisk those together until the mixture gets like pale and foamy. It might fight you a little bit before the sugar starts to dissolve. It will like clump up and look kind of like a very sugary scrambled eggs, but just keep going. The sugar will eventually dissolve, I promise. As soon as you have something that looks a little bit more like a paste, you're gonna pour in 15 grams of cornstarch and roughly 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. Give that another good mix until everything is fully incorporated. And next, you're gonna bring over your warmed milk. And this is the only part where I would say there's like a little bit of difficulty, but really not that much as long as you're prepared. Make sure that you have something under your bowl, like a towel or something to hold it in place. And you want to stream in the warmed milk into the eggs. You don't wanna pour it all at once, once because you might scramble your eggs, which is not what we're looking for, okay? You want to slowly pour in the milk to incorporate and temper the eggs. Not only do you not want to pour in all of your milk at once because it might scramble your eggs, but also it might make it so that you end up with like some lumps and unmixed stuff, and you don't want that. So just be diligent. Whisk, 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 scrape down the sides, and once you are sure that everything is well combined, pour that back into your pot, and you're gonna stir this until it becomes nice and thick and silky and luscious, which can take anywhere from 5 minutes to 15, so don't be discouraged and don't stop stirring no matter what. There's a fire in your house, I'm sorry, you're gonna have to deal with it later. Your dog Scooter needs to go outside, I'm sorry, but you're gonna have to clean some pee off the floor. And don't get mad at Scooter, he's a good boy. But seriously though, it does not take that long. You don't have to be like vigorously stirring the whole time. You can just be like a little slow at the beginning, but as soon as that foam that you see on top of the custard mixture starts to like disappear and mix into the custard, that's because the mixture starting to thicken, and at that point you want to make sure you're vigorously stirring and that you're not letting it stick or letting it burn or anything like that. If you feel like it's going too fast, you can always turn down the heat a little bit and slow down the process. But once all of that foam is gone, you'll have a very nice thick mixture like this, and at that point you're good to put in the chocolate. I'm gonna be honest with you, I have no clue how much chocolate that was. I forgot to write it down, so we're just gonna go with 100 to 150 grams of chocolate, but you know, it's up to preference. You can do whatever you want here. I'm not your mom. Now we're just gonna put that into a bowl, and this step is kind of important. You wanna double plastic wrap your custard. The first layer, you want to be directly touching the top of the custard. Be careful when you do this because it's gonna be hot. You don't wanna burn yourself, okay? But you wanna make sure that it's making full contact all over the surface of your custard, because otherwise it will develop a skin, which is it's just not pleasant. You wanna avoid that. And then you're just gonna cover the bowl with the rest of your plastic wrap and pop that into the fridge until completely cooled. And once again, the recipe will be down below. A great thing to know is that this dough performs beautifully when refrigerated. These buns tasted virtually the same between a temp 2 and a temp 3. There are a few important aspects that one must think about when doing R&D for any products, including baked goods. The ones that I'm focusing on for this series are consistency, efficiency, aesthetics, affordability, and practicality. Now, what does any of that mean? It means, is it easy to produce? Can it be produced with consistency? How does it look? How expensive is it to produce and sell? How good does it taste? And how easy is it to eat? For example, let's take a look at filled donuts. The fact that they're filled set them apart from other donuts, both in terms of flavor and uniqueness. You can put whatever you want inside a donut, but at the same time, they can be a lot messier for your customers to eat, which will influence whether people get them or not. But that messiness, at least in my opinion, is offset by how good they taste and how easy they are to produce. Now let's look at a different example, croissants. They take forever to make and require a high level of skill and technique. Because of that, they are expensive, yet they are incredibly delicious. Therefore, not only do bakeries make them, but people also buy them despite their price tag. So for these buns, because they're filled with chocolate, I didn't want them to be too messy to eat or to make, but I still wanted them to be extremely satisfying in terms of texture and taste. It's important when developing recipes that you keep these things in mind so that you can be proud of the things that you made and also ensure that your customers get the absolute best experience. Sprinkle them with some pearl sugar, bake them at 375 degrees Fahrenheit or 190 degrees Celsius for 18 to 20 minutes, depending on how hot your oven runs. If you're doing multiple trays, make sure that you flip them halfway through so they get evenly colored. And ta-da! These buns, they were everything I wanted. They were so incredibly delicious. The chocolate custard filling was so smooth, so chocolatey, so creamy. And honestly, they were just an absolute joy to eat. They didn't last very long at all. And it's because they're bakery worthy. Thank you so much for watching and for coming with me on this journey. I hope you enjoyed the first episode of Perfecting My Bakery's Menu. And I hope to see you in the next one. If you have any questions, leave them down below. If you liked the video, video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, dislike if you didn't, I guess. Also, let me know why you didn't, if so. And I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.